The gray dawn light filtered through the blinds of my Austin apartment, casting long shadows across the cluttered kitchen table where stacks of legal documents loomed like silent accusations. I sat there, coffee gone cold in my mug, staring at the subpoena that had arrived the day before. My fingers traced the embossed seal of the Travis County Courthouse, feeling the weight of what was coming, not just a fight over money, but a war on my very sense of self. Outside, the hum of morning traffic on I-35 reminded me that life went on for everyone else. But for me, today marked the beginning of unraveling threads I'd tried so hard to hold together. I whispered to myself, drawing from that old resilience my grandmother had instilled in me during tough times, you bend, but you don't break. But as I gathered my things and headed out, I couldn't shake the knot in my gut, the knowledge that blood ties, once sacred, could turn venomous overnight. The courthouse lobby echoed with the shuffle of feet and muffled conversations, a sterile space where hopes and heartbreaks collided daily. I spotted them immediately, Sophia, my older sister, with her perfectly coiffed hair and designer suit, whispering fiercely to our mother, Margaret, whose face was a mask of calculated concern. They stood near the entrance, positioning themselves like gatekeepers, and as I approached, Sophia's eyes locked onto mine with a cold gleam. She raised her voice just enough for the nearby clerks and strangers to hear. She'll leave here empty-handed, just like she deserves. The words landed like a slap, drawing curious glances from a couple waiting nearby, their toddler clutching a toy truck. Humiliation burned in my cheeks, but I kept my head high, remembering how, in this country, family feuds often played out in public arenas, exposing raw nerves we'd hidden for years. I stopped a few feet away, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Is this really what we've become? Sophia? Turning inheritance into a spectacle. She smirked, leaning in closer. You've always been the weak link. Time to cut you loose. The betrayal stung deeper than any legal jab. It was the casual cruelty of someone who'd shared my childhood secrets, now wielding them like weapons. We filed into the courtroom, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like a swarm of doubts. The wooden benches creaked under the weight of onlookers, and I was assigned a seat in the back row, far from the action, as if I were already an afterthought. Margaret and Sophia claimed prime spots behind their slick attorney, exchanging nods that screamed alliance. The clerk called the session to order, and when he mangled my name, Emily Hartwell, twisting it into something unrecognizable, neither of them corrected him. They sat there, stone-faced, letting the distortion hang in the air. It wasn't just a slip, it was erasure. A subtle way to diminish me before the real fight began. I raised my hand politely. It's Emily, Your Honor. But Margaret interjected with feigned exasperation. She knows her own name. Let's not waste time on trivialities. The room shifted uncomfortably, and I felt the isolation deepen, like being adrift in a sea of indifference. In American families, names carry legacies, but here mine was being scrubbed away, one mispronunciation at a time. As the proceedings unfolded, their attorney slid documents across the table with practiced ease. But I caught a flicker, a quick tuck of a page labeled Asset Transfer Log, beneath a stack of innocuous forms. My heart skipped. I knew what it implied. Hidden transactions siphoning off what should have been shared. Before I could signal my lawyer, Alex, Margaret's voice boomed, Your Honor. Emily's barely scraping by as a community college instructor. How can she manage an estate when she can't even balance her own checkbook? The distraction worked. Eyes turned to her, and the hidden page vanished from view. Rage simmered in my veins, but I held it back, jotting notes furiously. Betrayal doesn't announce itself with fanfare, it creeps in through the cracks, exploiting trust until the foundation crumbles. Alex whispered, We wait for the right moment. I nodded. But inside, the silence I maintained felt like a coiled spring, building pressure with every slight. The tension escalated as Sophia took the stand. Her testimony laced with disdain. She's chosen a life of handouts, teaching part-time gigs that pay peanuts, unfit for any real responsibility. Laughter rippled from a few spectators. And Margaret chimed in, mediocrity was her choice. We can't subsidize it forever. The words carved into me, reopening old wounds from family dinners where my career was dismissed as noble but naive. I stood, voice calm but cutting. Teaching shapes minds, builds futures. It's not mediocrity. It's purpose. The judge paused, but the damage lingered. A public shaming that turned my passion into a punchline. Yet in that humiliation, something hardened. I wouldn't let their mockery define me. Silence became my armor, unsettling them more than any outburst could. Then came the gut punch. My old colleague, Rebecca, called as a character witness. She'd promised solidarity over coffee months ago. I'll vouch for your integrity. But on the stand, she faltered, eyes flicking to Sophia. I don't recall enough details to comment reliably. The betrayal hit like ice water. She'd been bought off, or intimidated, leaving me exposed. Whispers swelled. Even her friends abandoned her. Margaret leaned toward Sophia, murmuring audibly, pathetic, thinking anyone would stand by her. Fury clawed at me, but I remained still, channeling it into resolve. In this litigious society, alliances shift like sands, but losing them forced me to confront my isolation, the price of trusting too deeply. The cruelty peaked when they summoned my daughter, Lily, barely 10, to the stand. Sophia whispered to her as she passed, "Tell them how mom's always too busy, leaving you alone." Lily's eyes met mine, wide with confusion, and she stammered, "Grandma said I should say Mommy doesn't care enough." The courtroom gasped, my world tilted. This wasn't about assets anymore, it was weaponizing innocence, twisting my child's love into ammunition. I nearly surged forward, but Alex restrained me. "Hold. This exposes them." The manipulation cracked open, revealing their desperation. But the scar it left on Lily's face fueled a burning vow. No more silence. The emotional toll mounted, a reminder that revenge's seeds are sown in such quiet devastations. Recess brought a momentary breath on the courthouse steps, the Texas sun beating down relentlessly. Lily tugged my sleeve. "Mom, I saw them hide those bank papers." Her words ignited hope amid the despair. My child, underestimated, had become my unseen ally. Back inside, as their attorney paraded forged emails claiming I'd begged for money, labeling me a burden, I rose. "These aren't my words, they're fabrications." The judge noted it, but the lies hung heavy. Sophia's smirk faltered slightly, the first crack in their facade. The pressure built, each revelation pushing me closer to eruption, the damming of emotions ready to flood. The courtroom hummed with anticipation as closing arguments loomed. Sophia couldn't resist. "She gets nothing, not a cent. Not a whisper of legacy." Margaret echoed. "She never truly belonged." The outbursts drew gasps, but the judge's nod toward their side made my stomach drop. Volume seemed to sway more than facts. Despair gripped me. Was this how justice bent? But Lily stood unprompted. "I want to speak." The room froze. Against objections, she testified. "I saw the lawyer hide the transfer papers, and I photographed them." Producing her tablet, she revealed the evidence: illicit shifts of funds, dates aligning with their denials. Chaos erupted. Their attorney objected wildly, but the judge admitted it. Deceit won't stand here. In the frenzy, Aunt Clara, long silent on their side, blurted, "That money was rerouted to me." The admission shattered their unity. whispers turning accusatory. Vindication surged through me. Hot and electric, the truth. Once buried, now exploded into light. The judge's gavel silenced the room. This evidence warrants IRS referral for fraud investigation. Sophia paled. Margaret clutched her necklace. An IRS agent stepped forward, confirming flagged accounts. Their empire of lies crumbled. The backlash swift: audits. Disgrace. The very tools they'd wielded now turned against them. As the verdict fell in my favor, custody secure, inheritance restored, the relief was profound, but laced with sorrow. Winning exacted a price, the irreversible fracture of family illusions. I gathered Lily, walking out into the evening air, her hand in mine. Reporters flashed cameras, but our embrace on the steps spoke louder. You saved us with the truth. Whispers shifted from judgment to respect, my reputation reclaiming ground. Yet, as we descended, I reflected on the cost, trust shattered, scars etched deep. Revenge wasn't sweet, it was necessary. A path through fire to forge something unbreakable. With Lily's laughter echoing, I knew we'd rebuild. Not on blood, but on the quiet strength of survival.